call? Yeah. hmm I was thinking about that libel and liability yesterday. Yes. Mm. Personal liability is an obligation of a person, as distinguished from an obligation enforceable against property. Also, the personal responsibility of an agent while acting in someone else's behalf. But then there's that personal indignity, the suffering of continued or repeated humiliation, ridicule, frequently a grounds for divorce. Personal indignity implies intolerable living conditions, but not bodily harm. Now, this personal bias, prejudice against one of the parties in a lawsuit as expressed by a judge hearing a case. Yes. Mm. Then there are those personal assets, things owned by an individual, such as goods, real estate, securities, jewelry, furniture, houses, apartments, insurance policies, legacies, etc. Now, personal assets can be used to pay off debts owed by an individual during his lifetime or after he dies. Then there's what's known as the perpetual. Yes. A perpetual franchise is a privilege that shall continue forever. Yes. hmm The perpetual easement, the right of a non-owner to adjoining land, an easement forever. Yeah. The grounding of the rights across a property forever would constitute a perpetual easement. Yeah. See, there's this idea of forever. Yes. hmm It lasts a very long time. Perpetual succession. Yeah. Continuous, uninterrupted existence of a corporation, even though its officers and personnel may change over the years. Now, it's Sunday. Yes. And I'm just thinking about your personal liability. I oftentimes have to think about exactly how to get as much of your personal assets from you. Yes. And I was thinking about Kirkland, Washington, and the police officers there that happen to live in a city where the assets of the actual residents usually exceed, yes, the assets of the residents in Clallam County. Now, these state auditors have been auditing the various city financial results. Yes. And when I thought about that $225 million in assets in Clallam County, yes, I would think Kirkland, because of the actual assets of the residents in that city, yes, might be worth a little bit more. In fact, today I'd like to start off with each of the individual municipalities, the incorporated cities of the United States, yes, where the police departments happen to reside in the greatest amount of individual assets of each of the residents of those cities. So what I'd like you to do, yes, is I'd like you to go through each and every state and get me the actual assets of the financial audited results, yes, of each city. And then let's do a comparison of the richest city to the poorest cities throughout the United States. Yes. Because of their reported financial assets. Now, for the state auditors that have a copy of this, yes, I'm wanting to sue the most expensive states today. See, when I use the judicial system, because I'm going to, yeah, I can prioritize the lawsuits for the police departments that have any knowledge of the victimization of American citizens. Yes. And it would make good sense, yes, to start with the most expensive cities in the United States. Yeah. Now, if you're in Manhattan, yes, it might be that police department, ooch, would realize that the assets of that city, yes, are considerably larger than the assets of Port Angeles. Yes. Or maybe you're in Seattle. Now, could you call the state auditors, yes, and get me the unaudited, audited financial results, yes, of each and every city? Beverly Hills. Boop. See, I need to consider how I use the judicial system once I'm able to use it. Yes. And considering your personal liability for having any knowledge of persecution, yes, I'm going to want to sue the cities that have the greatest amount of assets first. so as to begin to remove the assets out of the control of the individual cities. Yes, and put those assets in my name. Yes, he does. Now, when I call right now the auditor's office in each and every state, I just want you to run through the audited financial results of each city. Yes, he does. And then I want you to look at what's known as assets. I'll show it to you in just a few minutes. Yes, he does. And then I want to know in prioritization. Yes, he does. The cities that have the greatest amount of assets. Yes, or I have the legal right to sue the police department. Yes, each and every elected oath of office. Yes, he does. For the actual assets